But Azir's going to get locked in for RNG.
Yeah, having the Cassiopeia not available, being able to freely pick that Azir first, it does leave open a lot of options. Those options are very deadly, and the response has come out immediately.
Yeah, they're done. Siva and Gragas there for Vici. Honestly, I think as far as 2 first picks go, you take either of these champions and Vici get both.
You can't really get a better first rotation for Vici here of picks, getting Siva and Gragas, the early pressure jungler, the ridiculously high win rate AD carry. Kalista always being banned, 92% ban rate, so Siva the next best option, and locked away instantly against what is the Azir. But the Azir in itself is a very smart tactical drafting-based decision.
I mean, yeah, we've said it before. Just such a strong pick in almost any situation. Nothing really stands out to him except maybe the Cassio or some of the craziest stuff like the Varus, like the AP Kog'Maw that we've seen a little bit around the world. But it's Rek'Sai and Rumble actually there for RNG. So Dandy's Rumble once again denied away.
So they've actually, they've blind picked the Rumble with that Rek'Sai.
Yes.
Not knowing who the top laner is going to be. And I was about to suggest that they're most likely going to go towards the Pony to pick that into the Rumble because they've blind picked that Rumble. So this might even be indicating in this very weird way that they want to somehow swap lanes with the Rumble.
Maybe.
I don't really know.
Dandy again, I think it's hilarious that we've seen his best success being in the top lane when he does have Smite. Just because, of course, he is a jungler and heart.
Jungle.
So it is going to be Hecarim Thresh. He's already got the Smite teleport selected, so that could be what we see there for Dandy. But Godlike, if you remember him, played a couple games in Spring, played a lot more in the North American LCS. Certainly known for his Rumble back then.
Yeah, if you're a Rumble main, of course you're going to pick up the Rumble. It's not a big surprise by any means that he has locked that in, but it's, again, picking it in the second rotation, I guess to take away from Dandy.
I hope so.
But also leaving available the fact that the counter pick was an option is confusing.
I mean, I agree, but that's what I was hoping it was for. It's the Dandy blocker pick. Given how many weeks I've been on about Dandy's Rumble that we've never gotten to see. Wooch is going to lock in Vayne, though. This man cannot get away from this champion, it feels like. Vayne Lucian only seems to be Wooch's recent play pattern. And Lair's going to say, all right, buddy, you're going to play Vayne? I guess I'm going to take a peel support. He gets Janna. And
it's not too bad a pick into the Sivir also. You do win comfortably in the 1v1 trades between the Vayne and the Sivir. The question is, how will the team of RNG work around having a Vayne opposed to the Sivir who can just press that ultimate, use that on the hunt, and get into the face of RNG? And now that they've got the finished lineup, and as you mentioned, the Janna being picked, fantastic choice to go with that Vayne. Enables the Vayne, is a facilitator for her hard carry capabilities, and is a ridiculously good pick for a duo lane. With her.
I like it a lot, but I'm maybe worried about the Thresh in particular. Mata's Thresh certainly very strong, and I think Janna might suffer a tad in the matchup, but Hatong's going to pick his last champion. It is Xerath there back in the mid lane, so this we used to see all the time at the very start of spring, so kind of funny that we're going full circle back to the matchup, but we've seen poke against Azir. It's not going to be Varus, it's not going to be Kog'Maw, it'll be Xerath.
With the Cassiopeia unavailable and the Azir already being locked away, we've seen Hatong with some ridiculous Azir plays. The next best option is going to be that Xerath. He is an extremely comfortable, it's his most played champion. And it's just going to be throwing back almost a spring split, except that we've got Dandy in the top.
Yeah, which is a little bit different, to say the least. Is on the Hecarim, though, which he's had decent performances despite his limited top lane exposure so far here in the LPL. But we'll go through the matchups. You already said it. There's Dandy in the top side, and Godlike making his first appearance in summer, I believe. There's his Rumble.
So a soft counter here in favor of Dandy, but we'll see how he actually goes as we move into the jungle here. And we've got MLXG up against World 6, Gragas and Rek'Sai.
Very standard stuff there for that match. I think we'll be seeing a lot of this through the rest of summer as we move again back to standard spring matchups from earlier on in the year. Xiaohu's Azir, which has been quite strong, but Hatong, he does have that classic counter pick here in Xerath.
And if there's one thing he can play, it is that Xerath as we move into the supports, because never mind.
Nobody wants to see Wish's Vayne.
It doesn't matter.
There's too much of it.
It's too exciting to see his Vayne. It was mind explosions everywhere.
I mean, again, Vayne Sivir, a lot of teams, a lot of players have tried this. I would say mixed to poor success for the most part, but Woosh, he just cannot let go of this champion. He played 5 Vayne games in a row in playoffs.
Well, I guess the unique thing about Vayne, and if you are a very competent and avid Vayne player, you want to get that Vayne in there. As we can tell, Woosh definitely wants to play Vayne at every opportunity. You have this team that can work around you, and it's a very aggressive but like timed aggression style team comp that they'll be with.
Well, we'll have to find out what happens. We're going to get onto the rift for game number 1. And welcome for our first game between RNG and Vici, our third match of the evening. As we move to week number 4, I believe, of the LPL. Time flies so quickly. There does it, Rusty. And Dandy back on his beautiful pony with his smite, right where he belongs, kind of. He's got one half of it right with the smite, but he is still in the top lane. And Vici looking for some wins here after some mixed success, I'd say, in the early weeks of the split.
Well, mixed success is the only way you can define what Vici have done so far. Never actually winning a 2-0 series, so that is definitely one way to describe it, as we just saw the side of Vici at the back of Dandy softly cantering towards the opposition jungle.
Yeah, there's a lot of aggressive roaming for deep vision as well, right smack bang in the middle of these lanes, so they'll get some good vision down. You have to think the Vayne in particular is going to be looking for the early lane swap coming through, but apart from that, people are sort of hanging out. Whoosh is going to go somewhere else, moving towards the top lane right now, but we've got about 30 seconds until those minions will be in the lanes.
And this is the weird thing that I did want to bring light to, is that they've picked the Rumble into a losing matchup, and now they've gone for the Vayne Janna, which does signal to me that they want a lane swap. But then you've also got the Rumble, who's not very good at jungling, whereas the Hecarim excels at jungling, has that smite advantage. So realistically, you're looking for a 1v1 just so Godlike doesn't get a disadvantage. You
can see Whoosh actually a little too close to Vici, who are taking away the blue buff, but they'll spot the Sivir, unfortunately. So if they wanted the 2v2, they've got it, with both teams sort of swapping their AD carries in there.
Yeah, I'm getting the feeling Vici were looking for the lane swap for the exact reason that we just mentioned. But RNG, very aware of that fact, placing the same amount of wards deep and actually able to spot them, get themselves an even match.
And as it turns out, we'll take the 2v2. That will give us that 1v1 matchup with the Hecarim Rumble that you talked about. So we'll see how that goes. Dandy, of course, is going to do a bit of early jungling with World 6, does have his teleport. And we'll get a couple things, although he does have mostly consumables right now. So probably no early item advantage unless he really sticks it out in the jungle.
He doesn't really need to be continuing his jungle path, but he had already committed to doing some of it, as that is a very aggressive push.
Yeah, they're going to go diving, which is why Whoosh level 1. Dandy goes in. World 6 joins in as well. And that Thresh is dead. Oh, sorry, Thresh going to get the kill. Whoosh going to die. Lei going to follow. Dandy will get healed by Endless, and that was an amazing dive by Vici.
That was very close there for Dandy, having to blow the heal, but this is why, just as we were mentioning, why is the Hecarim still staying? He could easily go back to his 1v lane, which generally goes in favor of the Hecarim. Instead, they opt to dive and give that Vayne a bigger deficit than what was already there.
It's been a long time since we've seen a 3-minute tower dive just in general. That was maybe the most brutal 3-minute tower dive I've ever seen.
It was pretty disgusting, and I mean, both level 1, so it was very well done from the Sivir and Thresh to actually zone them away as much as possible. If they were level 2, it would have been a lot harder. Janna having 2 spells is ridiculous, and the Condemn available, but played perfectly.
It was indeed, and double jungling, I guess, for Dandy, keeping it creative in the early levels, but which will pop back to the top side. He is down in CS, but he'll keep the wave in a decent spot, at least try to at the early stages. Is Vici going to return back to the top side? And Endless, not a massive advantage, just a couple pots and an additional longsword.
And it's just an advantage, any advantage really.
Yep.
Getting your iron on the smallest amount in favor of the Sivir is going to hurt the Vayne endlessly.
Yep.
So just having that is going to be a big factor in how the lane pans out in the 2v2. And at the same time, just I guess, Rumble getting a free lane, getting free creep score advantage, basically, is not going to be a big factor either way.
Yeah.
So they just sacrifice a lot of their effort in the bot lane, or the top lane champions, to get the bot lane ahead.
I think Dandy as well. He got a kill, he got an assist, so he'll be just fine there. He can even take away the grump that you can see on your minimap with the smite that he does have. He'll go back now, possibly move in towards that skirmisher. Saber does pick up a pair of boots, so might be going an early home guard enchant, but we'll have to see where exactly he wants to go with his item build. And already Vici, with a strong early start, give themselves 1,000 gold up.
And you can see, based off that early aggression and lead that they have now accrued, World 6 easily going into his opposition jungle, getting as many minion jungle camps as he can, taking away those monsters, keeping the pressure very evident.
MLXG is actually in the top side right now, so Endless and Marta might have to be careful, but World 6 with some great counter jungling so far. MLXG will jump in, but the Lantern keeps him safe. MLXG can't find the knock-up there. Marta's just going to zone him away, and even 2v3, the Flay comes back, they might go in. World 6 actually, he's level 4 right now. Not really a fair 3v3, unfortunately. They do split him off.
God.
MXG diving back in a little too aggressive. Teleport's going to come in as well to make it 4v3 in favor of RNG. Marta getting low, but World 6 diving through. Whoosh goes in aggressive, does get the kill. Now the Flame Split is going to come through. Condemn onto World 6, gives Godlike a kill, and Whoosh will just make it out alive.
The over-aggression from RNG was done so well with the knowledge of the teleport advantage being there. Dandy could not respond to that teleport that came out of Godlike. Suddenly, they have this big number advantage out of nowhere. RNG pick up the kills. They're going to have the tower pressure in the top lane, and a very, very smart play here from that side.
That was great. Once again, we saw Vici's early level 1 give them a nice lead, and RNG turn it right back around just before the 6-minute mark. So Godlike now, again, coming back onto the roster for the first time off the bench here in summer, and has a Haunting Guys up already, plus the 30 CS up, even up against the Hecarim. If his teleports are just like that, this will be a much easier game for RNG.
Yeah, having the kill on the Haunting Guys is massive for the Rumble, but you do have the Null Magic Mantle to, weirdly enough, null that difference out.
Yep.
And it's not going to be a massive deal, but he's starting to ramp up, and they've got that nearly level 6 on the Rumble. If he can get his Sork shoes before they fight next, perhaps for the Dragon or an objective-based fight, they do have to keep in mind that they've got the Rumble, which is so much bigger than the Hecarim.
Yeah, Mata actually tracking someone. It seems like Godlike, who he wants to take out. He gets a pink brush there in the pink ward, sorry, there in the tri-brush. As Godlike and MLXG come back up to try and save the turret, but Vici, 3 members once again, no teleports this time for either top laner, and going to get some pressure down onto this turret.
The continued pressure from Vici looking to make a response on what was a very smart gank about a minute ago. Godlike here now, they've got 3 members with MLXG and Layem readily available to go, but the pressure...
Godlike does get grabbed there, takes a bit of trade damage, but Vici can't quite get themselves the kill.
And they're not going to be able to follow this up too much further. They've got no mana onto Endless now. Siva's going to be struggling. No spell shield even available for the next 10 to 15 seconds. So they're going to have to just last hit, be comfortable, and remain calm.
And it's interesting that Vici are just really invading this jungle time and time again. They find MLXG with a hook. World 6 comes back in. Ulti there from Xerath is good. MLXG going to get sniped away despite the Janna shield there from Lei. And I can see why they wanted it. They're going straight for the blue buff.
Why not go for it? Even the Xerath readily available just to make it hurt. Actually picking up the kill himself now. What was a dead even mid lane now has a free kill and a blue buff in advantage of Vici.
And I like what Xiaohu's doing here. He's actually going towards the blue buff being like, I really want this. I don't know if I can take it, but I have to check it.
He was actually going there to stop Dandy from taking it himself just by placing some vision down. So the opportunity for a steal was definitely there. And of course, the natural reaction of having your buff stolen away is I need to make this a trade somehow, because that's not fair.
No, I mean, the mid lane going to be a bit awkward there. Fairly even lane normally, but Hatong going to have the advantage right now with that blue buff, especially once he goes back and shop to spend that gold. And Vici not done. Going to push him for this turret. Lay with a shield down to try and keep it out. And Godlike will clear away the minions for now. But that turret, it is not long for this world.
Needing to start the respect at the very least for this Rumble damage. Having the equalizer available is a sign that like the damage increase from the Rumble is just unbelievable at the moment. As Xiaohu,
MLXG diving in. Stun though onto Xiao, who's already used his ulti. Dandy's come in, he's ported to the mid lane. He's just here for a bit of extra damage. So Tong's forced to flash away. Last auto almost enough, but Dandy wants it, does have his ulti. Finally forced to pop up, but Lei knocks him up and Dandy can't quite finish that one off.
Too many members from RNG just getting there at the right time. The Janna with the save. Dandy with a very nice teleport gank. Again, utilizing that teleport advantage at all the right times here of both teams. But nothing massive actually coming from that besides some pressure. They're just going to recall and get back some health and items.
World 6 actually taking away the red buff, so I like this continual counter jungling. World 6 seems to have learned from one of the best. Him Mata finds a hook onto MLXG. Dandy going to get back on top of him, playing back there as well. MLXG's level 5 gets eaten out of the tunnel, and now the ulti's come through, and World 6 cleans him up.
He just wanted an assist, so I think he's just managed to take the kill himself.
He did.
Mata hitting another hook. He's not missing anything. Their aggression is consistent, and it's not stopping anytime soon. Vici looking for that dragon after picking up a kill. MLXG is having a very rough time.
He is, and this is an excellent transition for Vici here. Double smite there, although Dandy's the only one with his. I guess he's higher level, so should be able to secure that dragon for himself as the old jungler able to take it away.
Smite competitions there perhaps will start to come out between the two, but Dandy always going to be superior. Getting the solo experience is going to help him a lot.
Yep, certainly known for smiting some stuff out back in the day. Again, still has a smite here in the top side, but I agree with the aggression portion there. Playing well mechanically, moving around nicely. Hatong's ultimates have been really key in contributing to a lot of these skirmishes. And for me, Vici, if they're going to play more like this, I'm very excited to watch them play.
What I really like so far, and as you have just touched on, is the fact that Vici are so in the jungle. And what I do like about this in particular is that it plays towards the strengths of the entire Vici side because they've got 2 junglers. And even Hatong, has played jungle for them in this split. So in a way, they've got 3 junglers that are just sitting there in the Vici side. Why not pressure where you are the best at?
I mean, the other thing that Hatong was known for, as a Vici also got the turret in the top lane as well, by the way. So in and amongst all the objectives, 2,000 gold ahead there for Vici. But it was Hatong's Twisted Fate play in particular that really sort of saw Vici just play better and better at games. So when Hatong's able to contribute meaningfully, as MLXG will be forced to flash out from that hook, when Hatong can contribute meaningfully while still staying in his lane and being a bit more of that passive style farming mid laner that he is, it's just so good here for Vici because he's playing Xerath. He doesn't need to move very far to contribute, and he's already got himself a kill and an assist. Yeah,
and he has actually not been moving far whatsoever to contribute, just because every time he has it has been with an ultimate. So he gets within range of the ultimate in one side of the jungle here of RNG, throws out all 3, either gets a kill for himself or an assist, and then just goes back to farming.
And that's exactly what we've seen from Vici when they've looked their best back in the end of spring, was when they were playing rotationally and around objectives. It's a bit of a different style. It's heavy on the jungle and objective control here, especially in the early minutes. But Vici, maybe with Dandy and Marta finally finding something they can do to lead the team with, they look awesome so far in the first 12 minutes.
Yeah, it's ridiculous how well they're looking and how in control in particular they are of just everywhere that they decide to go next. They've always got the numbers advantage, or at the very least first have the numbers advantage, as Marta is not going to give up with trying to hit hooks on everyone but his own lane.
This is the other thing that's great about Marta. He loves to roam, so when you unlock him like this, when Endless can just kind of sit in the wave and do whatever he wants, you can see Xiao, who's forced way back towards that tier 2 turret as Vici, another grand rotation going to get them a turret.
They aren't actually even going to pick that up. The rotation from RNG, whoa.
Finds lane, MLXG going in deep. Dandy coming through as well. Damage is good there onto the Rek'Sai. Is going to take him out. Woosh has rolled in, but Marta's getting taken out there by Xiao, who, well, ticks in the mid side there. Does get an ult onto Woosh, but he's taking a little bit too much damage from Godlike, who's joined into the fray as well. Woosh still looking for kills. Godlike tower diving. It's only 2 for 1, but it is a 1 fight for RNG.
They do come out ahead in that fight, and Gragas not actually available to have a massive impact at the start of the fight, using the explosive cask a little bit too late and actually knocking the Vayne towards his team, so a bad situation actually being made slightly worse. They do manage to get out with their lives, not all of them, but they do get out. We're going to see a replay of this, and the engage from MLXG actually looked like it was going to go bad because he goes down very quickly. The thing to note here though is that Xiao, who's already taken out Marta, Dandy's forced to go back but dies to the ignite, and Woosh has been essentially unlocked in this fight, free to just auto-attack, completely free hit, and they were just too dispersed to actually have a relevant fight for them.
Yeah, couldn't quite find what they wanted as Marta looking for another hook there, but Woosh will dodge that just for now. Xiao, who back in the mid side, does have his Morellonomicon completed, but answered by Hatong, who's got an extra blasting one to boot as well. Cinderhulk's also completed for these junglers. Dandy with an early home guard that you can see there on the left-hand side as well. So very much a lot more of the objective focus style that we've expect from Dandy's jungle, sort of transferring a bit of that power to the top lane.
Yeah, do what you can when it comes to rotations. All of the side of Vici, in fact, doing this, but Dandy's doing it exceptionally well, even with the timings of the teleports, helping out so much for his team. And getting that home guards, being able to teleport in, it's ridiculous how relevant you become with damage, even when you start to stack the tank items first. Going for the Merc Treads, but because the move speed gives you damage, it's ridiculous how that works.
Yeah, has a Glacial Shroud now as well. You saw Dandy do decent damage in the last exchange as well, so Hecarim certainly not underpowered without that Trinity Force, just really ascends to great heights there once he gets there. Mid tower goes down as well. Hatong able to clean that one out. So Vici still finding themselves about 2,000 gold ahead with another dragon up in a minute 25. Woosh farming away. Does have his Blood of the Ruin King now completed. Endless still with just some flat AD. But everybody from Vici getting stronger, and it's the dragon that they really want here.
Yeah, and I mean, the difference between the Vayne and the Sivir doesn't even matter right now. He has an effective item, that is correct. But the pressure that the Sivir Thresh are putting down on all of these turrets and objective-based plays, they're always extra in numbers. They've always got a surplus in nearby members to rotate quickly with the Xerath ult as well. The only time that RNG have actually won a big fight is when they force it in the mid lane when no one can rotate quicker because they're all there.
And MLXG's, I would say, aggression has been pretty crazy. As Xiao, who finds Hatong with a very long ride in the mid lane, going to get the pressure down. Hatong forced to use the heal flash as well, but Xiao, who still going to get himself a kill.
That was really impressive to see. He almost went past the max range. He didn't get the shield, which is generally when people tend to do that as Zircek, is knowing that they're stuck, but he just continued to walk that little bit further past, used the ultimate Emperor's Divide, knocking him into a horrible position where he was just caught and completely outplayed.
I mean, that covered an insane amount of ground in this lane, so I don't know if Hitong was quite expecting that, but we've seen it from Xerath and the poke champions in general. They got good bursts, they got great poke, but when you get dived, not a whole lot you can do.
Yeah, and actually going for the Morellos as the first item leaves you a lot more susceptible to all-ins from Xiaohu. Not even having an Ignite, going for that barrier, and instead didn't even need to use a summoner to take him down.
No, just had enough damage from auto attacks as the third turret of the game will go there to Vici. That's 3 outer turrets claimed in about 16 minutes here, and that gold lead still growing pretty much just on the back of these objectives. It's sort of like Vici are back from spring. That's all about the rotations.
That's exactly what it is so far. The map movement has been exceptional from this Vici side, and their entire lead is based off of these map movements that they're currently enacting. It's ridiculous how they've managed to keep this lead when even individually the mechanics seem to be going slightly in favor of RNG, the small amounts. It's just the decisions that they make and the confidence when they make these decisions giving them a lead.
Well, it's this next dragon fight that might determine our next point in the game here. Vici really want to get the dragon going and start that snowball on RNG. If they feel confident and like to have the items, might look for a team fight here, but Xiaohu content to farm so far. The rest of the team, though, is converging. It seems like RNG do want to pick a fight here.
And we saw the last time there was a 5v5 combat, RNG actually pulling out ahead in that particular trade. So not an unfavorable position to be in if you were Vici Gaming. They've got a very strong 5v5. They're just relying on Xerath to hit a lot of poke first and turn whatever they actually fight for into an objective. So if they lose the dragon fight, it starts to hurt them a lot.
And they just have to be careful. I think more than anything else for RNG, they've been eating Martyr hooks. Dandy's ultimate's ready to go. Vici will start the dragon here. MLXG will get some vision in the area as Vici actually back away after starting out. A bit of a bluff there. See RNG on the bottom side pinging onto that turret. Might look for a trade or at least to apply some pressure first.
Speaking of bluffs, we've currently got MLXG trying to start the dragon himself before backing off and just using that Tremors to spot the side of Vici, who it's their turn to start it.
Yeah, they're going to go on top of it. They do have 2 smites here, so going to be tricky for RNG to try and take it away, but they'll take them off it here. Xiaohu actually looking for sort of a flank there on the left-hand side, and RNG juggle the dragon just long enough to try and take it. Do get it there, and now even as Vici think about a team fight, Silverolt's pop, but they do not pull the trigger.
There's a very risky position for them to pull the trigger. In fact, we might see RNG want to.
Yeah, Equalizer coming in. Endless takes a massive chunk of damage before the fight starts. Now going to move in. MLXG, Flash Unborrow finds the Sivir. Going to dive into the backside as Godlike's moving in with that Flame Spitter. Wooch gets the first kill onto Mata. Dandy, though, might have found Xiaohu as the heal's just going to save him. Dandy, going to go down. Wooch going to get taken out with all the burst, though. Xiaohu also too low as Vici turn it around. And Godlike going to maybe be the 4th one to go down, but instead it's just a 2 for 3 in favor of Vici Gaming.
So a great engage again coming out from the RNG side, but both AD carries essentially left unattended, somehow working out massively in favor of this Sivir. Just the raw AoE capabilities of the Sivir that she can put out, coming out massive in that fight. Even though the Vayne completely left to his own devices puts a massive amount of hurt down, as we're going to see another replay. MLXG, great engage on both priority targets. At the same time, Xiaohu is being taken down by Marta, forcing the barrier. They also force out the flash from the Xerath ults. And meanwhile, you can see Woosh is actually just destroying people in the side. And somehow, because both AD carries not actually being attended to and Hitong sitting in the back doing all of this damage, they get enough down to have the pressure to actually win that fight and come out ahead.
Yeah, nice cleanup there for Vici, actually getting ahead in that trade. And you can see that gold lead starting to grow a little bit more, about 3,000-4,000 ahead now for Vici, but still building and getting stronger. Death cap on the way now for Hitong, so he'll have that done fairly soon. World 6 just getting himself a locket, as Dandy also has his Cinderhawk Skirmisher Saber ready. And even Endless, Infinity Edge he had for the last fight, but he adds an Avarice Blade and some Berserker Greaves as well.
Because you can never have too many Avarice Blades in
cannot.
the LPL.
You certainly cannot. Certainly on a champion like Sivir, apparently. It's just Avarice Blade is mandatory.
It doesn't even matter what time you buy the
no,
Avarice Blade. It just needs to be there.
Yeah, this was after Infinity Edge this time. We've seen it first. We've seen it after BF Sword. We've seen it after BF Pickaxe. Probably seen it after Longsword. We've seen some interesting Avarice Blade timings.
Yeah, and it always seems to indicate to me that they're going for the static shift. There's nothing else that it can go for.
Ghost Blade.
Well, yeah, besides a Ghost Blade. Let's not get overexcited with item builds.
Let's definitely not get excited.
The reason that they go for the Avarice Blade first is obvious because of the money, but in saying that, it also limits you to exclusively the static shift as a Sivir who doesn't necessarily need the wave clear.
I mean, I think I started seeing this so much that the only thing I could come up with was if you're going to get it early, you're pretty much AFKing in minion waves anyway, trying to push them down, so why not get the extra gold? But I agree, it's been a very hot Sivir item for whatever reason. Maybe the move speed, maybe the proc's just handy for a bit of mixed damage, but Woosh is actually doing quite well in his item build on the other side here, building in towards what I can only assume is that Phantom Dancer second, and he's going to get fairly strong. The 2-item spike for Vayne is quite good.
It might be a Shiv himself, really, at this stage. We can't write that possibility off, and we know they really do like static Shivs.
Everybody loves static Shivs.
You're right, he has been left completely unattended almost in terms of items, and they're very similar between the AD carries, and it is a Vayne, so the scaling is definitely in effect at the moment for this RNG side. They've got the Rumble, double Magic Pen, working on that Zhonya's Hourglass. It is only a Seekers at the moment, so having that extra armor, but the kill pressure just from the flat Magic Pen is going to scale him through the late game quite well with just the ult. It
is, and I guess my thing about Vayne, and maybe my worry about RNG's comp in particular, is just that every time we see a Vayne, no matter how fed she gets, you only get to kill one person at a time, and there's a lot of threats here on the Vici side. So it's a matter of, can RNG set up the right fights for Woosh? Because if he can get into the right positions, if people can displace targets for him and he's able to pick people off one by one, those are the fights that a Vayne and RNG can win in this game.
Well, I mean, any day of the week I would say that I prefer a Sivir over a Vayne, but in saying that, the way that the Vayne works with RNG's comp is amazing, because they've got the Rumble and the Azir. The amount of AoE magic damage that they're putting down into particular areas in a team fight warrants the MR stacking here from the side of Vici game, and they need that magic resistance ASAP. You can see the Locket prioritized by Gragas. This completely unlocks Woosh. No one's going to be getting as much early armor as they normally would be, and you have to actually pay respect to the side of RNG, which, I mean, a Vayne unattended is going to just wreck you.
Yeah, always going to wreck you. I think Dandy's probably looking at that frozen heart that he's presumably building after the Glacial Shroud and being like, yep, I need this online ASAP to try and deal with this carry. And Hertong's got his Rabadons. He's good for damage if they want to maybe look for a siege. But Godlike, with a needlessly large rod himself, actually pulling the minion wave in the bottom side there, or top side, sorry, and is sort of keeping it there, trying to freeze a bit.
Yeah, he's going to try his best to freeze it, working towards that Zhonya, so he is about 500 odd gold away from that, going to have it very soon. And that helps their team fighting capabilities by a ridiculous amount, just by having that utility. Because the Rumble, who's normally quite squishy, isn't necessarily a massive frontline threat as Marta hits another hook.
Yeah, MLXG going to be the target this time, but he's quite tanky all of a sudden. Finally built himself up some items. Cinder Hulk working on a Locket of his own, but has a decent health bill stacked up here in Vici. Without their primary carries especially, just don't have the damage to punch through.
No, they don't, but they are in their natural habitat now, pushing into the enemy jungle, and they're looking to siege either to the top side of the jungle, where there is no minions, or mid, which is the only option left available.
It's transition time here as the teleport instantly coming through for Godlike. They know they have to do something. Shahu going to find Endless Spell Shield coming in, though. World 6 might have found himself caught out. Oh, the Azir wall being bad news is forced to flash out of the way. The ulti from Atong going to keep everybody else out, but that was hilarious.
The Spell Shield from Endless is what saved them right there in that bad position. You could see how horrible it actually was for Gragas. Couldn't body slam through, had to use the flash in the end to get out, and the ultimate just to make sure that he was safe. An amazing Emperor's Divide, but the Spell Shield was even better.
Yeah, Endless not going to die there, and that's the key target here. Tong, probably a pretty juicy one as well with all of the heavy poke damage that he's putting out. World 6 is not having a good time.
That's a really, really big wall to get through, I will admit, but that's a small mistake.
Can't quite make it here as RNG actually are going to be the ones to start this next Dragon. Rumble's ulti is ready to go, and Vici, I think smartly, just not going to get a look in.
No, it's not a big concern to fight for this at the moment, and Vici are starting to ramp up with their items. They've got that Death Cap now available, and they're just waiting on perhaps the Static Shiv and the Righteous Glory in particular. They've got the Locket, and they're actually going
Yep, waiting for nothing, apparently. Endless coming through. Marta gets the fight. Godlike hook after the flash as Marta lays down the box, but the Equalizer going to zone Endless off completely. He's forced a Lantern away, and Dandy, he teleports in, but there's no one left for him to ulti.
Now, Rumble not actually having the Zhonyas yet is the big point of contention between what just happened right there and what could have potentially been Endless going down for his troubles there, is the fact that Rumble had to run away the entire time. If he turned around, had the Zhonya's Flame Spitter, someone might have died.
He might have, but he's just finished it now, so didn't have the option in the last little exchange. Woosh has got his Static Shiv now as well, so going to be good in these waves if he wants to start split pushing. That's actually an option for him there as well. But RNG going to have to be careful. Vici have shown their map movements are very crisp this game around, but feels like they haven't gotten that much ground in the last few minutes, although still find themselves up 4,000 gold.
No, they still find themselves with a lead because since getting that lead, they've managed to just sit there and kind of keep it without actually going a little bit over-aggressive or audacious with the potential map movements that they have put into effect. Instead, they're sitting around, they find opportunities to go in to pick a particular person. In the last case, it was going to be Godlike. They didn't actually pick him up though, and so they don't translate it into anything in particular. No. What they're looking for is to continue the control of the jungle that they have been doing so well so far, and turn that into a pick with the Thresh, get the Xerath who can use his ultimate or put the stun down himself, and then have Dandy blow them up. Or their team fighting does start to feel a little bit weaker compared to the RNG side.
I think I'd agree here in Vici. You can tell, maybe just by the amount of wards that currently in their inventory and the sweeping that they're doing around this Baron, they are like really set on getting vision here as RNG keep poking trinkets into their area to annoy them. But double Sightstone for Vici, 3 pink wards earlier in the inventory, now just 2, as I believe Dandy has just put his last one down. Maybe it was Hitong. Oh, World 6, sorry. And again, RNG now going to get a look into the Baron, but Vici, they know what they want. They're going to keep playing around those objectives as Dandy going to go on a merry old split push in the bottom lane.
RNG winning the war control battle, but definitely not going to win that war up against so many Sightstones. And, I mean, between both teams right now, we're looking at 3 pinks, 2 Sightstones across the board. Ridiculous amount of vision control being emphasized, and I like that from RNG because you can tell that the game plan of Vici is revolving around having that vision control. RNG is saying, no way are you getting vision control of an aggressive position where you can pick us out. We're going to be the ones with the control ourselves, and you have to come to us in a 5v5 on our terms. Which
is exactly what they want, because we've seen Rumble, fairly massive at this stage of the game, does great damage. Whoosh, pretty enabled here as far as damage goes, can weave in and out of the fights and all of the zone control to get damage in. And even Xiaohu, who went for a very early Abyssal Scepter to follow that Morello Nomicon, has good damage coming through. So RNG, if they want to pick that straight up team fight, they'll take it any day of the week. And Vici are doing everything in their power to just run them in circles around the map.
I really like the switch to the Abyssal Scepter here, getting that as soon as possible on the side of Xiaohu. It's actually smart because of the way that he has been playing, is legitimately in the front line, using his Emperor's Divide aggressively to catch people out, basically a Zir-secking 24/7.
I mean, he kind of has to. He's sort of the only initiation in some ways.
Yeah, he actually pretty much is, besides the Flash MLXG, which funnily enough has been their engage every single time, is that they now have the Flash available on the Rek'Sai again. They've got an engage option. But you're right, Xiaohu is probably the only other reliable form of engage besides doing it all on top of an equalizer, which can either zone them or keep them in a particular area.
I mean, if Vici find themselves on top of the equalizer, I don't know if they're ever winning that fight, even if they didn't, even if they did get initiated, or didn't initiate, sorry. So I think it'll be okay. RNG, they're clearing out some waves, trying to get Vici to not do damage to these tier 2 turrets, and they've done a great job, honestly, of keeping these tier 2s alive. Vici's plan revolved around snowballing the dragon and pushing down those objectives, but it's RNG actually that'll finally get themselves the second turret.
They finally get themselves that top outer turret after already winning a fight there earlier, a smaller skirmish, not actually opting into hitting it whatsoever. They finally do pick that one up. The only one remaining is the mid-outer, and that is the big one for unlocking your map rotations, just allowing you to do so much more with the map.
You can see why Endless actually has been hanging out, although Xiaohu, massive ulti, somehow gets him. He's actually forced a flash away.
That was weird.
That was weird.
But it was super awesome.
It was.
And they forced the flash out of Endless. They get him out of there. And nothing actually being used besides the ultimate here from Xiaohu. So not a bad trade all in all, but again, as we just mentioned, that is a big initiation tool or a big team fighting tool for them and enables them to do so much more. Now out the window, they're going to have to engage with the Rek'Sai pretty much perfectly.
I mean, they could wait for the ulti to come back off, but you're right, we talked about it. Xiaohu has to do so much work here. He's a master Azir player, played it almost exclusively when he debuted in the LPL Spring last season.
Oh, the 2-for-1.
But he's going to have to do even more than that. As well, 6, yeah, gets a little bit of tunnel money.
Gets that bit of money in there. Not a big deal. Five.
I don't know why Rek'Sai keeps leaving money in her tunnel. Like, I don't get it. She just like drops it behind when she burrows away. Apparently.
That doesn't actually make sense, does it?
No, I mean, flavor-wise, maybe not. Godlike, not going to get hooked though. Good one there from RNG, going to keep them safe. It's the Scuttle Crab, might be the next major objective.
It's like League's version of an Easter egg hunt.
It is, yes. Can you imagine? Get the tunnel. Ooh, Easter egg.
They could make a rabbit Rek'Sai skin, I reckon.
That would be wonderful. Pair it with the Easter Teemo skin.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Gorgeous.
We're 2 months late. That's really sad. I'm going to have to wait till the next gen now. Very disappointing. Because Vici looking for his ambition around the Baron, but Tremorsense being annoying. Although Vici might just decide to brute first onto the Baron. Everyone else is here. Mata sets up the box in the choke, looks for a hook, doesn't find it, and Vici almost getting frustrated at this point.
But they're now in a bad position to actually rotate towards the mid lane. If they go there, they're fighting.
Well,
they're trying to stop the turret.
Hatong's used his ulti, but the turret instead whoosh eats one bolt. But it doesn't do that much damage. MLXG going to go in. Flash on Burrow onto Endless. Dandy diving into the backside. Woosh trying to peel him off though. Xiaohu going to come back in there. World 6 with the ulti as Godlike, buying as much time as he can. Woosh finally takes out Dandy, but Mata lands a hook. Xiaohu though going to ult them away, and Woosh going to get the double. Endless though charging into the front lines, trying to play clean up. Xiaohu gets nailed by a stuns and forced to flash away as World 6 chases in with a body slam, and Woosh playing clean up on the side. Once a Tong will get him with the bolt, but RNG still pushing down, and somehow they've got it. World 6 is the last kill if they can claim it, and Woosh is going to get in and get the ace.
They just won a fight that I thought they had absolutely no right to win. Woosh and Xiaohu just did an abundance of damage, essentially left by themselves to just kite and deal as much as possible. They take down the tanks very, very quickly. Dandy barely having relevance in that fight, given that he has the Frozen Heart, and Woosh is just wrecking them right now. Unbelievable work. Woosh again. They pick up all these kills onto people that I thought was going to kill them first.
Oh, Dandy's back, the Prince of Thieves. Can he steal once more? He actually has to run in. He can't get around it.
Nope.
Can't get in. There's no gap closer who didn't have an ultimate, and instead the Baron goes over to RNG.
And on the back of a fantastic fight from Xiaohu and Woosh in particular, they managed to pick up that Baron, because we're going to see a replay of this, and there's two things that I noted is that the engage was good from MLXG, but the follow-up from Godlike hits pretty much nothing. So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking to myself that it's not going to go well for the side of RNG, but Woosh actually getting the Vayne mechanics down, actually taking down Dandy very quickly, allows them to have a free Vayne essentially. Xiaohu can just sit in the front line, use that divide, and then actually stand behind it, as we saw him do for a fair while there. Allows Woosh to almost be unnoticed, come from the side, pick up Hatong, and by that time, because Xiaohu was left behind his own ultimate, MLXG was still alive as the primary tank, and Woosh was able to flank so well. They pick up a convincing fight. Yeah,
it's a weird thing to talk about Vayne flanking, but you're right. That's exactly what happened there for RNG and let them win the fight. I said the issue with Vayne is that you can't fight that easily, but if you're going to be that creative with your movement on Vayne, you deserve to get an ace. A very well played fight by RNG.
Yeah, and something we mentioned earlier was the fact that they do have to stack that magic resistance. The only person at the moment who has armor is Dandy. We saw how quickly Dandy went down to Woosh. Ridiculous is the answer, how quickly.
Yeah.
And now that the Vayne is actually capable and knowingly capable of taking down Dandy, they're going to have to reassess their game plan. It can't just be one person to take down the Vayne. It's going to be all of them.
Yeah, we've seen this a lot in Azir-based comps with hyper carries. Jinx is usually the big one, pegged with the Nunu from the jungle, which is a classic from EDG at this point. But I mean, hyper carries and Azir work great together. Azir does good late game damage, gives your carry a nice little zone to fight around in the Emperor's Divide, and sure, Vayne doesn't have the long range to fight behind it, but you can certainly fight around it.
Yeah, and the difference between the Vayne and the Jinx in this game, which is why I like the Vayne pick so much, and it's the first time and last time I'm probably ever going to say that, is just because the Hecarim can destroy a Jinx. You've got the outplay potential in the 1v1, you've got the Emperor's Divide, you've got the Rumble, so they've got zoning tools for particular set areas that you can't get around, or you will be taking damage, or you just physically can't because it's Azir, which allows the Vayne to 1v1 the Hecarim, actually outplay him because you have the high mechanical skill ceiling and damage in a 1v1. And it unlocks the Vayne again, completely ridiculous.
Yeah, it's sort of the arena comp here. You're just sort of creating little spaces for your Vayne to duel people. Yeah, it is the job.
That's all they need.
I mean, that's all they're missing, certainly. But MLXG doing an admirable job initiating from the jungle there as well. Xiaohu wants to take away the Grump. Who's going to get it? It is Endless. He claims the Grump.
I don't think Xiaohu was actually attacking just there. He wasn't in range by the smallest amount. Or he was just waiting and actually waited too long because it was a 780 crit.
Well, RNG do want to pick a fight here. They found World 6 potentially. Knockout comes through there for Lei. Hatong, though, going to zone them away on the Xerath. And people going to back away here. MLXG actually getting poked out. Xiaohu trying to find Dandy, who might charge his way back in. The equalizer down to the choke point, though. Lei going to reset the fight there with the Monsoon. Dandy off to the side, getting kind of owned there by Godlike with the damage. Xiaohu, though, is going to go down as Dandy able to outplay them. Woosh gets grabbed, and Vici, turn it all around. Dandy's going to be safe, and Godlike's like, where'd my team go? Hatong's like, they're all dead, bro. Thanks for the triple.
Hatong is doing A crazy amount of damage at the moment. On the back of actually getting all these picks from Marta as well, hitting all of these relevant hooks, actually taking down the Vayne there, who just bided her time until the right moment, went all in, and then just copped a hook to the face.
Yep.
So well done from Marta to actually have the hook even available. Timed it well. Dandy actually keeping Xiaohu extremely busy, and not just Xiaohu. They had 2 members there to actually deal with him, and he still picks up the kill 1v2.
Yeah, Godlike.
Fantastic work.
Yeah, Godlike as well tied up there as Vici going to charge down the mid lane and get an inhibitor by the looks of things here. Endless, he's just going to sit on top of it. It's got the spell shield, says, yeah, Lei, don't really care.
Give me that mana.
Able to take it, gets the mana. Rek'Sai is in the area. But I don't think MLXG fancies the 1v3. Never mind, goes straight in. Lantern comes through. Hetong actually going to get taken out by the looks of things. Hook land for Marta. Hetong bleeding from the Ignite. Godlike does not have his ulti, but he flashes forward. World 6, though, going to go in onto Godlike. That damage is dumb, and Godlike not going to get hooked. Marta finds the next target. It's Xiaohu, and now Whoosh trying to duel Endless there in the backside. Whoosh going to get away with it, though. Flashes onto Hetong, gets the double there as well, and doesn't die to World 6. Whoosh still in this as Dandy desperately trying to find a target, and Whoosh, massive plays all day long, will finally die to the Gragas.
Whoosh did his very best attempt at living there. He was looking as delicious as possible and won the 1v1 against Sivir. Follows it up with the flash into Hetong. Takes down 2 members, but in the end, it's still in favor of Vici Gaming.
Yeah, base still broken here for RNG. Vici get what they want. It's the juicy objectives that they've been fighting for the last 20 minutes here. And RNG, content on fighting all of the time, go back in onto Dandy, who just clip-clops out of the way. But Vici cannot catch a break in this game. This pace is ridiculous.
It is. It's not even high pace, really. It's only just exploded very recently into this consistent fighting. But it's been intensity and just pressure, for lack of a better word, I suppose, pressure in their faces, forcing them to make these engages, forcing the Baron, making them push mid, and then fighting them. Picking these fights that are working in favor of Vici, even if the fight itself doesn't. But that's a mechanical thing, that's not team-based. They managed to pick up the inhibitor on the back of these smart, pressure-based decisions.
And it's Vici that have been capitalizing.
Come on, Marta, hit
just a bit more around the map. Nope, Lei doesn't do quite far enough. Marta will miss another hook here, but it hasn't been too many that he's missed, as Vici might be lining up for the next dragon in 40 seconds now.
I think he actually ruined his own stats just there by missing the Jana. After all of that, he's done so well.
I mean, the amount of hooks he's hit on, I think, key targets, if you want to count Whoosh or Xiaohu, probably close to 100%, but he's going to be a bit sore that the stat will be reduced now.
To be fair, Jana's a key target.
Sure. I mean, yeah, they actually do want to catch her if they can. Lei's done a pretty good job of keeping himself alive. Captain's boot, that talisman as well, which I believe got the change, maybe even on this patch, so might be seeing a lot more talisman coming through, and of course the Mikhail's there to help out the Whoosh.
Yeah, it actually did get changed on this patch, I'm pretty
Much
sure. So
cheaper.
It's actually a better option almost to the Righteous Glory for people who do not require that frontline tankiness, such as the Jana. So very smart, opting into that straight away. And Vici, they're going to do it.
They are. Onto the dragon here. It's number 3 here. So nothing too dire right now as far as big dragons come, but the movement's always wanted by any team here. RNG might try and fight them for it afterwards. The dragon does go to Vici. Dandy, though, going to get low there. He's taken out, but there's Rumble going down as well, so it's 4v4 right now as well. 6 dives back in, gets Xiao into the wall, and body slams him, but Whoosh straight on top of Endless, going absolutely nuts there in the front line. Vayne going to get a kill. Rek'Sai will get the next, and everyone else has to back away. RNG win the fight.
It's, again, I said the word 2 seconds ago, ridiculous how much damage Whoosh is doing. He's completely left to his own. He's free to do all of the damage in the world, and it's a Vayne. You do not want to let that happen. They've got the Jana, who, as I said, priority. They've got wow.
Oh my God, Lei almost dying to just a combo there. Hetong has gone Luden's Echo in and among his first 4 items. You want to talk about silly damage? Hetong's doing silly damage.
Yeah, let's talk about silly damage. The 2 carries right now on both sides, definitely Hetong and definitely Whoosh. They're both fulfilling their purpose perfectly, and we're going to see it again as just basically keep your eye on Whoosh at all times. He's not actually hitting at the moment, but the second that he finds an opportunity to actually do some damage, they all start dying straight away. Endless, not too long for this world. The crit's coming out, immediately blowing up the second target, and he just bides his time, which is the smart thing and a sign of an experienced Vayne.
I actually missed Xiaohu's ulti in that last replay, but caught it just at the end. World 6 did everything he could to get on top of him as RNG sneak away the Baron. World 6 now forced to get away. Mata trying to find a hook. They might get an exit kill here as MLXG going to get dove in. Dandy going to knock him back into the team. The equalizer's down there. MLXG, Rocket Pops, he's still alive. Going to hit the ulti, but he's still not dead as Xiaohu finally going to take him out. But they're able to get the trade. The junglers are both down for the teams here, and it's still 4v4.
That took an exceptionally long time to actually take down the Rek'Sai. LXG living for far longer than he should have. They end up getting the trade, World 6, jungler for jungler, and nothing actually to come from that. Actually, no, they got the Baron. What am I saying?
Baron is there for RNG. That's the big thing they managed to get. Kind of sneaking it away, the gold right back to equal now in this game, 40 minutes in. And it's been pretty hectic for the last 20 or 25 here. So it's surprising to see that the game's gone quite late. Look at these inventories. They're massively stacked for both of these teams. And even though Vici managed to get an inhibitor that's now respawned, this game is far from over.
This game is actually dead even. We have a look at the gold differences, the kill differences. It's negligible amounts at the moment. And now we have ourselves a serious game.
We do indeed, as RNG got about 2/3 of that Baron buff left, maybe a bit closer to half, but if they want to be proactive and push, there's no other major objectives on the map to take, so this is their time to fight. Whoosh has got a Banshee's Founder. He's fully built, even as a Stark's further back up there for Lei. Xiaohu as well got Dom items coming in, and Godlike as well. Leandri's Torment's finished. He's got plenty of clean damage, but Vici on the other side also stacked up. Dandy now just getting towards that Trinity Force with the Sheen in his inventory. And whatever happens next, it's going to be a bloodbath.
And even though he's finally going for that Trinity Force, he's probably going to forego finishing that in favor of a Thornmail would be my next bet. Leave it at the Sheen, get yourself a Thornmail, because Whoosh is kind of a big deal, and you kind of have to respect that guy. The real question now, though, is we look at the teams, stand back a little bit more and say, what are they going to do now? We've got one team with the Baron buff. Top lane and bot lane are the only two lanes with outer turrets left, or inner turrets, that you can freely take away just because you've got the pressure of the map control. But it's going to take so long because the wave control from the side of Vici is extremely on point. And if you actually wanted to get all three lanes pushing, it'll take you so long that the Baron is most likely going to run out.
Yeah, and Dandy's being annoying in the bottom side there as well. Vici's side wave control in the later stages has been strong here in the end game as Godlike is forced to return to the bottom side just to push the minions back out. So RNG will keep themselves going. Game picking up more and more as RNG look to try and get some sort of assault put together here. Teleports are ready for the top lane as Godlike can rejoin if he wants to. Dragging back up in about 1:50 there as well, but RNG going to look for the turret first.
Yeah, both top laners readily available to join with that teleport. And saying that, it's almost a little bit more impactful to have a Hecarim teleport in than Godlike. You want to have the equalizer down as a zoning tool immediately to put all of this damage down on priority targets, whereas you get Dandy who teleports in with his home guards. That's going to be so relevant.
Yeah, it is. And I only just noticed some of these CS discrepancies as well, which is sort of crazy given that the gold's even. But Dandy is almost 100 CS ahead of his lane opponent.
He is too.
And Endless is actually 100 CS ahead of his lane opponent.
And even the junglers here, you've got MLXG is 50 ahead of his respective opponent. Given the amount of pressure early game that was put in his face, that's quite impressive.
It is, and all of Vici's aggression that we saw in the first maybe 10, 15 minutes of this game just kind of evaporated after that point. It feels like Vici, once they lost that second dragon, just could never get momentum back in their court.
And not even really the second dragon, just the fact that they had one small fight in the mid lane that went sort of even. They didn't even completely win the fight. 4,000 gold ahead, and they turned it into basically an even trade, and suddenly RNG have just found this semblance of some kind of maybe having control, and then they just turn it into an even game out of nowhere.
And all of a sudden might even be proactive about it. I mean, couldn't get a turret off that last push with the Baron, so they'll have to settle for Dragon as their next big point of contention. But Whoosh has sold that static shiv. He's got a Phantom Dancer completed. Xiaohu's still massively strong. RNG, they're not lacking on carry potential. It might be the health that's actually the biggest stat they're missing here. But if they keep having the really strong, high execution fights that they've been winning all game long, they'll be just fine in a 5v5 versus Vici.
At this stage, Vayne's not really going to get any bigger unless he opts in towards a Zephyr from the boots, perhaps. And I mean, that's a real possibility, but if you have a look at a completed build, Vayne, not going to get any bigger. Maybe now is the time that you actually want to fight, or because the Rumble is so far behind, you might want to wait until he gets that next item before actually committing so that the 3 threats that you have, because it is a 3-threat comp, is now going to be legitimately 3, not 2 3/4.
Yeah, I mean, Hotong's been such a problem in this game. He does dumb damage here as the Dragon will go down. World 6 will get it. MLXG going to get initiated on the Equalizer, though. Will try and zone Vici away, but Hotong going to start poking. He's looking for a kill by the looks of things. Almost gets it onto MLXG as World 6 eats a tornado as they retreat. And RNG, nobody dying there in that exchange. MLXG just getting away on a few slivers of health. But Vici get what they want. They get the Dragon and rotate bottom.
They get the Dragon, of course, not getting the kill as you mentioned, but they do have the map movements coming out straight away, picking up that bottom turret in response and finding themselves a small advantage out of nothing as MLXG.
He's going in, he's found Hotong, that's a key target, but that's actually a little too deep. No friends here for MLXG, but he's got a good stack of health. Xiaohu round the side finds a 3-man flank ulti. Godlike dives in. They need to kill Hotong and they take him out. Godlike flashes out after the Zhonya's and they get a key pick there, but both mid laners are dead.
Xiaohu actually using the flash engage looks sick, but what he actually did was flashed into a Sivir and a Hecarim, who just blew him up. He had no time to react. The barrier was even used. And what was an amazing engage, in fact, there was 2 amazing engages, MLXG doing it just prior. Both turn out to be, I guess in the last case, an even trade. The first case was just a big mistake where he kind of tunneled away.
I mean, again, as you said, it looked really cool. And I think crucially, they got Hotong that's been doing such good damage. He's made Woosh's life, especially when he wants to run at the enemy team, just a living hell, because you'll just eat Xerath AoE all day long. Godlike suddenly clear out some more minions. He's got a Void Staff now as well. Had it for a short while, I believe, so does have some damage coming through. But RNG, again, the one big issue, this is always the problem we found with Vayne comps when they picked him into Sivir, especially with Hecarim lying around. It's a matter of getting Vayne into position to do damage. She does damage, she's had to actually attack people.
At this stage in the game, you're right, it is in a way worth as martyred. She's got a Banshee, so good luck.
Yeah.
But, I mean, at this stage of the game, as I was saying, is that the Vayne is much more relevant in terms of carry capabilities than the Azir, to a degree, of course. Azir scaling ridiculously well, is able to solo carry the team. But from the looks of it, playing in a more selfless style where you sacrifice yourself to kill the Xerath, who is the sole carry of the side of Vici, as he actually got that blue buff.
Yeah, blue buff going to World 6, I believe, so nice little steal there for Vici, but Xiaohu probably not too miffed that he didn't get it. Instead, RNG...
I'd be a bit miffed.
I mean...
I'd be pretty miffed.
You would be. But, I mean, you're you.
Yeah,
you love blue buff.
It's a whole buff.
It is, it is a whole buff. At least Hotong didn't get it. I think it's probably the thing they're happy about is Woosh pushing aggressively, is forced to run away. Mata charging in with a righteous score. He looks for a hook. Lei will flash it. And teleport's coming in onto the Rek'Sai tunnel. Godlike's going to join them.
So they're looking to find the fights now. You can see Mata has been sitting in that bush for an extended period of time, finally leaving it and hitting some hooks, but nothing actually going to come from it again besides Summoners used. The teleport from the Rumble, the flash is used to escape from Lei, and they're going to reset again. Everyone's starting to respect each other a bit more, being a little bit more careful about the precarious situation they've found themselves in.
And precarious it is here, Rusty, as Vici go back down the mid lane, but RNG will track them through their own jungle, and Vici will bounce back to Baron. It's been a big back and forth, and pretty much a constant fight for map control as Vici realize that MLXG is now upon them.
I think they know where you are here, Vici. You can see a random Rek'Sai flying past you. He's going in.
He is absolutely going in, but gets caught out there. Damage is good, but he will get healed up there by the Mikhail's. Woosh will lose his Banshees to a Mata hook, but the ulti's there. Dandy, though, will get peeled out as Lei's taking too much damage and dies to Endless. So 5v4 right now for Vici.
They've got one low member here of Dandy who took a ridiculous amount of damage, but that whole fight was actually on top of a Pink Warden. Wow, Hotong, you do damage.
He does indeed, and looking for the last bot, we'll find Xiaohu. Gets about 25% of the health, and Dandy's back. He's back to full health. He's got home guard. He might be diving into the backside. Xiaohu forced to use his Zhonya's there to be safe, but Vici will get themselves the Baron.
Did Vayne just use the ultimate a second time? The cooldown on that must be so low at this stage of the game.
It is.
They're readily available to just consistently fight with that. I mean, the last fight, as mentioned, was on top of a Pink Ward, and that made it very difficult for the Vayne to get in and have an impact. And Vici, now they have the Baron. They've got an advantage because there's still no support here in Janna.
Yeah.
They're going to get that.
Yep, Lei dying there means that even 4v5 in their own base, RNG can't defend. Vici get that inhibitor once again, but this time they're the ones with the Baron as they look towards the endgame scenario. But almost 50 minutes in, pretty much full builds everywhere. World 6 actually maybe caught out here. Slow comes through there for Godlike. He's got He's got a lot of health. He does get slowed down, but it's going to take a little too long to kill the Gragas with that extra health.
He's just constantly being aggressive and looking for someone to unburrow onto at the moment. And whether it's just for damage, whether it is actual kill pressure, the aggression and the intensity behind this jungler is still very evident at the moment as they steal away a blue buff. And that's away from Hatong.
It is, and that's an important blue buff. We've seen this Azir, sorry, not Azir, Xerath, be an integral part.
They might actually try and catch
Siege. Oh, that's clever. I mean, 5th Dragon's here. Vici do want it. But
you can see by the way they're positioned, assuming there's no vision control of that area, that they're actually looking to just completely catch them. But instead, Vici have just gone mid.
This is smart. I mean, they can't see what RNG are, so they're all right, if we push down the mid, we'll probably find you. They do want the dragon, but they're not too worried to lose it if RNG are going to lose their base for it. So Vici, a very smart move here, force RNG into the defensive decision as Endless. Pops his ulti. They heard the Rek'Sai ultimate. Godlike going to get jumped on top of by the looks of things here. Pops his on his early to try not to die, but did go down in the exchange. And Vici, again, another 4v5. Now, Xiaohu going to get dove on Dandy. Rides back into the tower now with a great ult there from Azir. And now it's just 4v4.
And again, they make the trade. Nothing working in favor of anybody. They catch Godlike out of position, but a fantastic zone use, actually allowing his team to get there in time and put down what turned out to be a 1-for-1 trade. But in saying that, there is currently a Dragon 5 available, and MLXG seems to be their last hope.
He is. I mean, he's going to go in. He does get the kill onto it and should be able to tunnel away. The rest of his team's coming. They might have been looking for a fight here. MLXG gets to safety as he flushes out of the pit, and a very nice steal that gives RNG Dragon number 3.
MLXG, the man, the myth, the maverick, saving them time and time again, initiating for them and sacrificing himself. This time, luckily enough, getting out alive for them and denying that 5th dragon that was going to go to Vici just there. Well done, MLXG.
We've talked about it in the pregame there as well. When MLXG has good games, he has these sort of games. He's been going in at every turn, and to be fair, he kind of always goes in, so it's not that surprising. But he's been picking the right engages this time and really initiating, just playing well around the map. And even outsmarting World 6 there around that dragon gives RNG what they need in this game, a little bit more time.
Well, yeah, they definitely needed more time. If they gave up that 5th dragon in particular, it was going to be a very dire situation to be in, to say the least here. They saved themselves that problem. Instead, they get to reset again, as that's like 3,000 surplus gold here, by the way, for the Azir.
There's just, I mean, at this point, 52 minutes in, gold's out the window as far as relevance goes. Everybody is fully built, so we look to late game. We don't get here very often, Rusty, especially in the LPL. Okay, except poor Rumble. I'm sorry.
Oh, that poor man.
I mean, he'll get there eventually at the rate this game's going. We'll be here till tomorrow.
Speaking of going.
Although Whoosh, as his Banshee's Lay's going to speed him back up. Hook not there, and RNG get themselves up. Endless uses the ulti, but it'll be back up pretty soon.
And we're almost back to like 10 minutes in this game where we saw Vici's initial game plan was to control the vision in the jungle, turn that into a pick, and turn that pick into an objective. They're doing the exact same thing now. The only key difference is they've got the Righteous Glory here for the Thresh. They've got the Sivir ultimate always there. Those two together, you have to use summoner spells to survive. Luckily enough, though, Whoosh getting out with just the ultimate used.
And we talked about as well, the Zephyr could be traded in. Full build is right here. That's a Trinity Force that is bought instead of his boots in this game. So Vayne is doing ridiculous amounts of damage at this stage.
That's a build. I love that.
My favorite thing, though, has to be no upgraded blue trinket.
Oh, that's rookie.
He's got everything else he could possibly want. He must have the gold for it.
Actually, does Azir even have an upgraded trinket as well while we're going? No. He has 3,000 bonus gold, man. What are you doing?
Not buying the upgraded trinket, apparently, is Vici. Man, they must feel really, honestly, a bit trolled in this game. They've done everything right, it feels like, it most of the good spots, especially in the early game. And RNG have just dragged it out longer and longer and longer. And now we're here almost 54 minutes into the game, and I don't think Vici still know if they're going to win this game, because late game here, it's close, but I think I take RNG's comp.
It's not just late game, it's a 3-threat comp up against the 2-threat comp here from the side of Vici. And I say 2 threats sparingly because there's the Hecarim and the Sivir, and between them both, they probably equal 1.3 opposed to being 2, just because they don't have the damage compared to the Vayne and the Rumble, which is going to be obnoxious. You can see one item still actually left to right here for the Rumble. in a very sore position. I hope it's a death cap.
I'm assuming it's a death cap, and we don't get to see this very often. We talk about Rumble and his power spikes time and time again, but it's very rare that we get to talk about the 6-item Rumble. And if you thought 2-item Rumble was good with the Haunting Guys and the Sorcerer's Shoes, 6-item Rumble is a sight to behold.
Well, when the flat Magic Pen build turns into a full percentage Magic Pen build with death caps to boot and about 800 ability power, the Equalizer is painful.
The Equalizer is unfortunately the least of your problems at that stage, because Godlike's just going to get in there and burn some face off.
Yeah, Flame Spitter alone with the Zonias, especially overheating Flame Spitters with that much ability power. It's obnoxious, actually.
It is, and it's a Tong that I think really needs to keep it together and just not die. I like the Alacrity enchant on his boots because he sort of recognizes that when he gets caught out, he's so much of a presence on this team. Again, RNG, we've seen it in the way they fight. They just want to dive the back or the front lines and kill people because they have the damage to take out almost any target, even though Dandy now has a Guardian Angel added into the mix as well. So Atong needs to stay alive, get his poke and his burst down. But it's been RNG that have at least dragged the game to this point. But I still don't know what a 5v5 teamfight looks like. And Baron is back up in 6 seconds, but Dragon is back in 1:20.
He actually sold his Thornmail for a GA. Just because it does give extra magic resistance, that's fair. You're up against a Rumble and a Zia, but you're losing the Thorns against the Vayne. So it'll be very interesting to see how this next teamfight does pan out. Having 2 Hekarims instead of 1, but lacking that Thorn aura.
Well, Vici are fighting for the Baron. They're actually doing a smart thing here, keeping the threats on top of it. It took not that much damage, actually. Good moves from RNG to pull Vici off it. They tried to zone everyone else away by effectively Endless and Dandy 2-manned it, but RNG know that they're at least scared Vici into not wanting to fight 5v5, so they're continually showing themselves and just saying, hey, we know what you're up to. You can't sneak anything away from us right now.
Now, at the same time, Vici have actually been pinging this 5th Dragon. It's coming up in 30 seconds, and it looks at the moment that they're going to continue the pressure at Baron and either commit to the Baron, commit to a fight, or just legitimately instantly rotate the second that the Dragon spawns, take it before RNG are even prepared or aware of that, and have that buff.
Well, we have 2 very important major buffs coming up to fight over soon. One's already up, that's the Baron here, and that Dragon's up in 10 seconds now. And the funniest thing is, although Xiaohu might get chunked out here, does hit the ulti, will go down. Dandy gonna get that kill, and Vici, a very important pick there. Mata Flash hooks, misses onto Lei. And Godlike's back in base here. RNG scattered off as MLXG just going to go in and buy some time. Whoosh, round the side, finds World 6 for the flank. Going to get the first kill. Maybe no, too many ultis. Dive on top of his face. Endless gets the kill. And Vici have finally just maybe done it.
And after all of this time on the back of Atong just doing some damage, which is through the roof the amount that he does at the moment, able to find that pick. Unfortunately, missing the actual dash here as Xiaohu, as Mata's doing his best to stop them from recalling, to let the rest of his side end the game.
Smart play from Mata, just buying as much time as he can. Mata. Really keeping them occupied here as MLXG will finally get himself a kill. But Vici have pushed themselves on top of the Nexus. They'll take it out here as the Nexus turrets fall. And a long back and forth, almost hour-long game results in a Vici victory. And that, Rusty, that was only game 1.
57-minute game for game 1 right here. Vici managed to take it away in the end, and it felt like they were in control the entire time up until one small moment where a hiccup occurred, and they did turn that back around. They found themselves in control, and they slowly found an eye into the game. They won very